Are you looking to buy real estate in Wayland, Massachusetts between 1.2 million and 1.5 million? One of my favorite towns to recommend to buyers relocating to Greater Boston is Wayland, if they're looking for terrific schools, a little bit more yard and space, and a reasonable commute to downtown Boston. So in this video, we are going to take a look at some of the recent sales from Wayland in 2024, which is we're looking at the last 3 months, so basically the second quarter of 2024 in Wayland, so you can get a real idea for what things were listed for, what they look like, and what they closed for. I will share my comments on my favorite things about neighborhoods and which houses I like just for fun, so I hope you enjoy. I'm Jane. I'm a realtor based in Wellesley, Massachusetts, and my channel is all about providing information to families seeking a home in the Greater Boston area, specifically in Metro West. If you are thinking about moving, please feel free to reach out, subscribe, and call me with any questions, as I'll be delighted to help you. I've had many buyers find me right here on this channel, and I've been able to tailor a search that works for them and their family to get them to their next perfect dream home. So let's start with the basics. Where is Wayland? Wayland is directly west of Boston. It's bordered by Weston, which is a pretty small town, Natick, which is a little bit more hustle and bustle, Waltham on the east, and it's not that far from 95, and it's not that far from the Mass Turnpike. One of the things that I always like to look at when I'm trying to provide a snapshot or an overview of information is where we are in the market at this time in history. We like to take a look around the end of June of each year to kind of see where we are year to date. So I did take a look at kind of comparing it to last year. We definitely have more available right now. So if you are moving right now, you actually have more options than if you would come here in February or March. So year to date, there's been 82 sales in all price ranges. We never know when the most inventory is coming on in any given year, and we can't really tell you until we're kind of past the peak of the market. So interestingly, if you're a buyer, it's almost better to be looking now in June, July, August, because we have a fair amount of inventory. For whatever reason, sellers seem to just have listed their homes a little bit later than previous years. So we can always look at what happened last year. We take the temperature of market factors for this year, like rates or, the political climate, which has, of course, just been volatile the last couple of years. Now you have a few more options than you did a couple months ago. The first house we're going to look at is 68 Lakeshore Drive. This house was listed for $1,275 and sold for $1,425. So that tells us that there were definitely multiple offers and high demand, but this was a very unique property for a couple reasons. So it was listed on April 3rd, and it went off market after the first weekend, and it closed in May. So what makes this house super special is that it's located on Lakeshore Drive, which is a beautiful Dudley Pond in Wayland. Beautiful waterfront views, and the home took great advantage of them, as you can see. Just 3 bedrooms, 3 baths. It was 3 floors of living. This is exactly what I like to say those millennials are looking to buy. A house in great condition, in a very good location that's priced appropriately, and the market did indeed respond. It was an open concept, white, bright, updated, clean. I loved the open concept. I loved the barn door. It had this beautiful stonework in the corner with a wood-burning stove in front of it, and it had very nice views of Dudley Pond. The broker who listed this did a great job getting this ready for sale. This is definitely looks turnkey, no clutter, and freshly painted. Everything looks terrific. And I had buyers who strongly considered this home, but ended up choosing another community where they could get a larger square footage for the same price. They actually ended up buying in Hingham, which is a completely different market. It's south of Boston. Since they did consider it carefully, I spent a fair amount of time here figuring out the good and the bad about this house. And there really wasn't a lot of bad, except it was only as big as it was gonna be. So I'm gonna hop out of the kitchen to give you some idea. There's this deck right off the living room, panoramic views of the water, which is just gorgeous from different spaces. Upstairs, the primary bedroom also had really nice views. I think there's a better one. Yes. So, sometimes sellers want to wait till the leaves are out to show their home to its full advantage. But for this particular home, I think it showed beautifully without the leaves because you could get a better view of the pond. And they had nicely updated baths, 2 baths on this floor, and then every inch was dressed to the nines. Then the lower level was also also finished. Hop down there. Oh, this is one bath that could use a facelift, but perfectly clean, bright, and update, is serviceable for sure. Now, the lower level is the walkout level. So you have these big sliders that take you right out to the pond. And again, nice, bright. You see that there's a mini split here, so it's got central air, and your laundry's even down here. Like, who wouldn't want to do their laundry down here? Fold your laundry while you're looking at this pretty view. And here's a view from the deck. The lots are pretty big. Now, one interesting thing about Dudley Pond, if you do have a home there, any renovation addition is limited to the existing footprint. It's kind of a quirky thing about this particular area zoning. So what you get is some kind of unusually shaped houses sometimes, but this one is a pretty straightforward. So that was what sold for $1,425 in May. The next house we're going to talk about is 28 Woodridge Road, which was on the market in April for $1,090,000 and sold for $1,260. So again, buyers were not shy about bidding over asking for homes that were perceived as competitively priced, in great condition, move-in condition typically. I don't know exactly how many offers there were on this one, but we were definitely seeing anywhere from 5 to 15 on homes under 1.5 this spring in this market, which I know sounds crazy, but don't panic, because I have all kinds of tricks and ways to make my offers stand out in competition, and I'm happy to talk with you about that one-on-one. Let's dive into 28 Woodridge Road, which is in the Woodridge neighborhood, and it abuts conservation land. So one of the trends we've seen in the last few years is this demand for mid-century modern, and we used to call them 50s houses. So anyway, this was built in 1952, but uber cool, and it kind of great updates, kind of a deck house concept. Clever idea to light this up at night and show you what it looks like at night. Typical of this era is you get lots of natural wood tones, you get very simple, clean lines. So unlike a colonial or a Victorian, which we've shown in other towns, and there's a fair number of mid-century modern in Wayland, in Lincoln, some in Natick, not a lot in Wellesley. It's just each town has a variety of styles. But if someone says, oh, I definitely want mid-century modern, I'm probably going to suggest you look at towns like Sherborne, Weston if you have a more generous budget, but Wayland has some great options under 1.5. Typical of this era of construction is very simple framing, trim. You can see there's not a lot of colonial detail, and the wood trim is key. Stone fireplace is that's kind of just very streamlined and simple and square lines. And and more of an open concept than you realize. And sometimes when you look at them from the outside, they almost look like they don't have a lot of windows. Actually, they're kind of strategically placed so they fit into their setting. That's kind of the philosophy of construction at that time for well-built homes. So this is kind of cool. They got the TV tucked right here. You can hop up there to the kitchen. So still open concept, but each area is defined by these partial walls. And I'm going to tell you that this is probably a veneer that they've applied over this. It's not real stone. I can just tell that from looking at it, but I like the finish. It looks pretty cool. Looks like almost like a rough concrete. Okay, now we're going to go down the hall, and you can see there's really nice built-ins. And again, takes advantage of, you need less clutter. You don't need a bureau. So again, that's very common now, but this trend started in the 50s. This is a beautifully updated bath. So again, this is the kind of house that we saw the market respond to with multiple offers, because there is nothing to do but move in. And sub-zero refrigerator, that's a Wolf or Viking range. So high quality finishes. And that is also something that buyers actively are seeking. So it's a kind of a galley style, but very efficient layout. And then I'm going to just show you. So here we are looking at the foyer. And then this is kind of cool too. You see this a lot in the lower levels. Look at this ramp. It's handicapped accessible. Talk about being ahead of your time. And I like that this is so bright down below, because obviously in the lower level, you're not going to have as many windows, but nicely up, nice and bright, and a barn door here. It seems to be barn door day in Wayland. Laundry and bedroom on the lower level. Again, everything's been updated. Now this is kind of cool because it's rare to see the entire room tiled, but it's very clean lines for sure. You almost don't even notice that there isn't a window in that bathroom. Here are some nice pictures of the patio. So as you can see, you have nice privacy, which is one of the appeals of this neighborhood, and plenty of room to throw a ball. And as we said, nearby that that Hamlin reservation for walking. So that was 28 Woodridge, which sold for 1260, and it's just under 3,000 square feet of land on about 1.25 acres in Wayland. And that closed in May of 2024. The third house we're going to take a look at is 24 Davelin. And this was on the market for 1250 and went over by $100,000. This was listed in late February and went off the market after just 5 days, and it closed mid-April. It's 4 bedrooms, 2 full baths on about 1/2 acre of land, just about 20,000 square feet. It's off of Connecticut Path, but so it is on a quieter road, but convenient. And this is a very traditional cape. I've talked about this in some other videos, but I'll kind of highlight as we go through what makes it a cape. So a cape basically is like a story and a half. You get that cute little slant of the roof, and you're going to see on the second floor that it limits your headroom. So we just call that character and charm. We don't say it limits your headroom. And then you can always put a dormer on there to increase your headroom. So this is typical. Lots of capes built in like the 30s and 40s. And you can actually see that this is old wood paneling that they've painted, and a beautiful wood burning fireplace with this gorgeous knotty pine mantle around it. I can tell that's pine just from how the wood looks here. Just really classic. Now, they took down a couple walls. I guarantee that this was a wall back in the 40s or 50s, but we love our open concept now for how we all live. And they have this gorgeous double French door with the transom above to bring in lots of natural light and open to the kitchen. So this is a pretty spacious cape. Actually, usually you'll see a first floor bedroom on a cape, but not always. Here's the TV room, which is a deck behind it. Gorgeous kitchen. And again, if something's going over by $100,000, it's in primo condition, move-in ready, not a thing to do except maybe change paint if you choose to. Maybe update a bath. And these people took a lot of pictures of this kitchen. Okay, now, here's something that we kind of think of when we think of a cape or a cottage or a cabin, is this beadboard, which is kind of just a very cottagey style look and typically painted white. Here's an office, bedroom, and of course there's central air in this house, which is nice. Now here we are on the second floor. So when I say, the slanted roof, you can see, you don't have full headroom on the whole house. If you did, that would be a colonial. So beautiful bedrooms. And now we're down to the lower level. There's a lot of fireplaces in New England on the lower level in the basement. Yet to see somebody who used one, and except for this one. So they actually have a little fire burning. It seemed to be a big thing in design, but not terribly practical if you're either lugging wood through the house or even a crayon log. Here's an example of virtual staging. Here's what the room looks like. And then you think, I wonder where I'd put the sofa. Oh, here you put it right here. Look at the TV, and then you have a separate sitting area. That's kind of a fun AI thing we can do now with homes. Now this has an unfinished, partially finished space over the garage. And this is kind of cool. It's definitely not 100% done, but they're just kind of using it. I'm guessing like a 3-season room, because there's clearly no insulation. Lights are exposed. So this is just kind of how, again, they're trying to show you how it could be if you finished it. This is not finished space. They do not count this in the square footage. We didn't have much snow this year, but there was a little this year. So that was 24 Davelin, which sold for 1350. So here are my thoughts if you are a buyer right now in July of 2024. First off, hang in there. If you missed out on homes earlier in the spring, you might just find the right house this summer, because we saw inventories rise late May all through June. And this is in all of our towns, in all of our price points. So there's more inventory, and sometimes there's less competition. Those people who were frantic to get settled in the summer so they could enroll their kids in school are probably settled. Sometimes people just need a rest, and it coincides with their summer vacation. So maybe there's less competition. My note for sellers is be mindful of this when you are pricing your home. Listen to your realtor. As we have demonstrated in many examples in this video and others, there were occasions where buyers went well over asking and sellers enjoyed multiple bids on their home. A lot of times waiving mortgage contingencies, doing pre-inspections, or even, God forbid, waiving the inspection. But again, we've talked about that in other videos. We don't want to be waiving your inspection ever. But basically, a lot of frantic behavior by buyers, which has generated high returns for sellers. It might not be quite as robust as it was earlier in this year, but there is still plenty of demand. There are still more buyers than there are available homes. I'm going to leave a link below to 2 examples of homes that sold wildly over asking. One was a a house in Wellesley on Wall Street that was on the market in the 1.5s and had 14 offers and it closed in the 1.8s. That was an example. It was walk to town. It was, a cute little cape. It had charm. It wasn't particularly updated. I think that was kind of like the tail end of, really frantic behavior from buyers. We were frankly surprised that there were that many offers, but that's one example. And 28 Bancroft was another house that was listed for 1,899, also in Wellesley. Very nice house. But I remember walking through it thinking, wow, this seems like a lot to ask for this house, and it sold over 2.1. Again, we saw a huge pent-up demand in the spring that I think that has come down a little bit. So if you're a seller and you're coming along with your house that's similar to, in size and condition to that house, maybe what you're going to do is not price it at 2.1 million. You're going to still want to price it under 2 million and hope that it generates the excitement that 29 Bancroft did. So the other thing to think about if you're a seller is that condition really matters. Do that sprucing up, updating the paint, cleaning the windows, making sure your yard looks put together, trimmed, and nicely landscaped, because those things do make a difference when buyers are coming forward and taking a look. So that's a quick snapshot of where we are in the end of June in 2024. If you're thinking about moving to Metro West or the surrounding areas, I hope you'll reach out so I can help you. And if you're curious about my process or what it's like to work with me, here are 5 steps. Typically, people reach out to me via email or a phone call, and we'll schedule an introductory call so I can understand what your needs, wants, goals, and timing are. I'm going to make sure that you are connected to a terrific lender, and I always encourage people to start with where they bank, and I have a couple lenders that I refer business to a lot that I know will provide not just great rates, but they'll be responsive and give excellent service right up until the close. But then we'll get into the specifics of the kind of home you're looking for, price point, condition, location. Then we get to the fun part where you can share homes with me, or I will share homes with you, and then schedule some time to actually see the homes when you get here. And then I will share my expertise in how to be successful making a bid in multiple offer situations. So there are some tricks and strategies when you're dealing with competitive offers that will help make you successful. So if you have other questions or thoughts, please leave it in the comments or reach out. I will see you in the next video. And thank you as always for watching.